Welcome into Loon Talk, episode 11 here on SKOR North Podcast Network, as well as anywhere you find your podcasts. Jonathan Harrison here, alongside my co-host, Dan Terrar. Dan, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Jonathan. Great. Beautiful day. Another beautiful day. Great week. Another win. It's all good.
Two wins.
It's all good. That's right. Since we last talked, 2 wins.
It has been a fantastic week. We will jump into that in a second. Let's do some housekeeping things here.
All right.
Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to us anywhere you find your podcast. It really does help us get found. Also, we are on SKOR North's YouTube channel as well, so go ahead, leave a like over there, and leave a nice comment about our offices, my cat in the background if you want, maybe Dan's dog if it makes an appearance. Really does help.
Someone comes to the door, all heck's going to break loose.
That is really true. Before we jump into reviews of the two matches, let's just do this quickly. There's really no opinion or speculation we can or really even want to do other to offer to what allegedly happened this weekend between Diego Chara and a Minnesota United player. Until the league's investigation into the incident is finished and the findings announced, we will not speculate or offer opinion on what happened, other than that racism has no place in soccer and, more importantly, no place in this world. There's really no smooth way to transition out of that, but we will just continue to go on with the podcast here. We will talk more about that once the investigation comes out.
Let things play themselves out, and then we can deal with it at that time.
Yeah, until then, we have nothing that can add we have nothing to add to the situation. So let's start back on Wednesday. Minnesota United versus Austin FC, Allianz Field, a full house, Dan. It was magnificent being in there in front of a full house.
It was great. It was. I didn't really know as we went back, because you off the top of the broadcast, you said it had been 613. Was that what the number was? Number of days. And that kind of hit me. It was like, really?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking back going, oh, yeah, it was one full season plus. So it was weird because it almost had that feeling for me of opening day at Allianz.
Yeah, I heard that several times from people.
Yeah, the newness, the excitement. So it was a pretty big deal. And the goal, that first goal, was just crazy because the place just exploded, and it's one of those moments I think I'll remember for many years, just like the opening day at Allianz, and certain games stick with you, and that match is one that'll stick with me. Absolutely.
It was, as you mentioned, that first goal. I think my favorite part of it was the absolute eruption of the crowd. For the first time they got to be there in almost 2 years, and within 10 minutes of the game starting, they already get a goal from one of the new guys. And it was not just a fantastic goal. It was just a fantastic moment for Minnesota United fans. Yeah. Struggling early this season, they've really risen back, and that I felt was a good moment for this team going forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and the fact that it was a really nice goal just made it that much better. So
yeah, let's talk about it. It was a nice inside run by Romain Métanire. Normally he kind of goes to the outside. This time he came inside, tricked up the Austin defenders, and he was able to put in a nice cross. Franco Fragapane, nice first touch to create some space for him, and then an absolute blast into the back of the net over the Austin keeper. It was a great goal.
Yeah, it was a fun goal to watch, and we've seen since Fragapane and since Unu joined the club, we're seeing opponents have to focus on the middle, and don't forget Emmanuel Reynoso, having to focus on the middle. And that has opened up kind of a new angle to Romain Métanire's game. The two matches last week, I think he's been in the 18 more than I've seen him all year.
Yeah, he has really been able to get forward.
He doesn't get into the 18 very often.
Yeah,
he's normally outside of it. And the last two matches, he's spent a lot of time in the 18, and I think that's fabulous. I mean, the more he's around the ball, the better, especially with space. So it's an interesting kind of change in things that has happened the last two matches.
Yeah, the attack with those three has really changed how defenses have had to defend and prepare for Minnesota. Because in the past, or at least at the beginning of the season, they only had to focus really on Emmanuel Reynoso because he was really the only threat they were ever scared of. Robin Lod was up there, and he had been the best player for much of the season, and obviously defenses were starting to come to him and or defend against him, but for the most part, they were focusing on Emmanuel Reynoso. Now they can't do that. They have to focus on pretty much everybody along that attack now. Once Robin Lod gets back, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Once he gets back, there's 4 guys up there that you can't focus on one of them, only one of them. You have to be aware of where every single one of them is at all times.
Well, the book on Minnesota, and I noticed some people's frustration was that they were going to, bring the ball up on the wing and they were going to cross it in from the wing, mostly on the right side with Metenair, sometimes with Chase on the left side. And that was because they didn't have, the pieces that they do now. And now I got to believe that teams are scouting Minnesota much differently now, and are more concerned about what Minnesota can do up the middle. And that's just going to give someone like Metenair and even Chase Gasper that much more space on the wings, and that just makes your team better. So some pretty exciting things happening, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the new things that we also got to see is Adrien Hunou's ability to jump and get his head on a ball. We saw that probably on the easiest corner kick Minnesota's ever had. It was simply Adrien Hunou jumping up 8 minutes after the first goal in the Austin game, getting his head on it and putting it into the back of the net. I can't remember, and I said this multiple times on Wednesday, I can't remember an easier corner kick for Minnesota than that one.
It's funny how on corner kicks, 9 out of 10, there's contact, there's people, it's very difficult. And every once in a while, one like that happens where somebody's not marking their man, somebody misjudged the timing of the flight of the ball, and it looks easy. It's not easy, but he made it look easy, didn't he?
And like you said, 9 out of 10 times you have contact and everything, and it seemed like for the past 4 years, there's been always contact, and no one from Minnesota is ever really going to cause a threat there. And now you have Adrien Hunou, you have 2 guys who can put in nice corner kicks in Reynoso and Fragapane, who are kind of shorter guys, which allows for Jan Gregish, if he's on the field, to get up there, who's a taller guy. It allows Michael Boxall to get up there, Bakai Dabasi. It allows all these tall guys to get up there and battle for these corner kicks that we've never really had before.
Yeah, it's a completely different look. It started at the end of last season when Emmanuel Reynoso started taking the corner kicks. And the impressive part was he jumped in right away, and Jan Gregush had been taking almost all the corner kicks. Well, I shouldn't say almost all, but the majority of them before that. They threw him in the near post, and those two actually found some chemistry on a few corner kicks. And, now you've got 2 guys. It's another example of where this team has gotten so much better. All of a sudden, we thought Jan Gregush was a pretty good corner kick guy. All of a sudden now we've got 2 guys that I think are clearly better. So that's another huge upgrade on this club. And when you have guys like that in the situation you were talking about, where you can put these skilled guys in there and then throw Michael Boxall in the middle just to make sure everything gets disrupted that they're trying to do,
right?
Corner kicks get a lot more exciting than they used to be.
Yeah, and so let's move on to the rest of the game here. Minnesota kind of controlled the rest of the first half. Pretty solid first half. And then something, wrong note there. Coming out of the halftime, Austin came out with some threat, but Minnesota were able to keep them out. And it was a great fight by the team to keep Austin out of the net. And it was a great win in front of the 19,000 fans for the first time in over 600 days. It was probably their most solid performance that we've seen all season.
Yeah, we talked about that right afterwards on the post-game show on SKOR North, and that it was the best 90 minutes we've seen probably since Orlando, right?
Yeah.
Since the Global.
I think so.
As far as 90 minutes goes. So, and that was more important than the score and then almost anything else, was that they played hard. They played pretty steady. They had very few moments where you went, uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Right.
And when they did, it was a couple of them, and Tyler Miller made big saves. So, yeah, it was a very, everybody wants to score 3 goals. It seems like 3 is just the magic number, right? I mean, you score 3 goals, and then you feel like you really dominated, but it didn't matter. It still felt, it felt like that kind of a win. And
well, we always talk about how a 2-goal lead is always the most unsafe lead you can have.
Yeah, I think a 1-goal lead's scarier, but
for sure. one goal lead. Speaking of that, Minnesota United getting a 1-0 win 3 days later, almost 4 days because of the start time of it. Minnesota United getting a 1-0 win at Portland, a huge win. Means now they are 6 unbeaten against Portland, one of the better teams in the league consistently. So that is a huge mark for them. Also 6 unbeaten in this season, bouncing back from 4 losses in a row to start the season. A good turnaround for the Loons, and it was a dream start for them. Adrien Hunou getting a goal in the second minute. This one really had some nice passes and movement that we've seen starting to form from the attack, and we really saw it come into play in that goal. Reynoso was blocked in by 2 Timbers players, and then he chips it through with a nice pass to Fragapane, who immediately laid it off to Reynoso, who would run around the Timbers defenders. And then Franco gets on his horse and charges upfield. Reynoso basically takes out 3. I went back and watched the replay. He took out 3 Portland defenders with 1 pass, which allowed Fragapane just to charge at Steve Clark. Steve Clark had no other option other than to come out and basically block off the angle, which left a wide open net for Adrien Hunou, who was able to just tap in a nice pass from Fragapane for the goal in the second minute. It was a great bit of play by the Loons.
Yeah, Emmanuel really basically with what he did created a 2-on-1 situation. And the defender had to lean towards the guy with the ball. The goaltender, as you said, Clark, committed. And that meant all that he had to do was get it through and across, and it was going to be an easy goal. So, yeah, and to score that early was just great. And, you know, at that point, I thought, well, here we come. We're going to win this one 3-0. Right. We're going to get those 3 goals. And, you know, I look back on it now, and I would have bet you a lot of money, Jonathan, that was not going to be a 1-0 game. I'm still surprised that we didn't score again.
You're surprised we didn't score again? I'm surprised with how – so let's get to it. The way the second half started, with how intense the pressure was from Portland coming out in those first 5 minutes, I'm surprised they didn't find a way into the back of the net. That's a heck of a job by the Minnesota defense and Tyler Miller to keep them out.
Yeah, Tyler's been outstanding. The defense is made sure that most of the shots he sees, he gets a good look at, although he did get – there was one I think that might even went through a defender's legs or just around a defender, and he had to make a big stop on it. So right now the defense is where they were a year ago. Well, not a year ago, but in the bubble down in Orlando, where everything was just cohesive. They were really not giving up chances. They final 10 minutes. What was stoppage time? 9 minutes?
Yeah, 9 minutes.
Final 10 minutes of regular time, and then the stoppage time. They did a great job putting on an extra defender, and in Brent Coleman. They really – I just never felt like, we're in trouble here. They just knew what they were doing. They looked very confident in closing out that match, which was 1-0 on the road in a tough place, and that's a big win.
Yeah, it was a nice, as you mentioned, those final, I guess, at essentially 20 minutes of the match, which we didn't want a whole 9 extra minutes of stoppage time at 12:30 in the morning. That's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. Let's not start a game at 10:30 again, MLS. It's not fun for anybody.
A little goofy.
But yeah, the final 20 minutes for Minnesota, they played that perfectly, as you mentioned, bringing on Brent Coleman, going to a 5-man back line, and the defense held strong, and they just wasted a ton of time. They killed the clock. Anytime the ball got to Tyler Miller, he just lumped it upfield to basically restart Portland playing or getting the ball and playing it back upfield again, and that killed a lot of time. Anytime, it was well played. They didn't get too frazzled with all the noise that Portland fans were creating. They didn't let the moment get to them, and that was a really big moment for this team, going out there and getting a 1-0 win at Portland, one of the tougher places to play.
Yeah, first road win of the season. And, tell you what, when you look at the teams, the top 7, 8 teams in the West, the difference probably will be the teams that can get points away from home. These teams are all good enough where they're going to get they're going to get a lot of points at home. They're going to win a lot at home, and it's going to be the teams that can find a way to win on the road that are going to do it, because those are the toughest points to get in MLS. So that's a good start to get 3 points out of Portland.
Yeah, we as the banner pops up here on the YouTube feed, 6-point week. Well, technically 7-point week if you want to go back to the game before our last podcast,
be like
including
8 days.
Dallas.
It'd be like an 7.8 day. See, that doesn't sound as good as 6 point week.
6 point week sounds a lot better. So 6 point week for Minnesota, 2 straight wins. That makes it 6 unbeaten for them. They have now climbed up into 5th place in the Western Conference. What a fantastic run of form for this team heading into a July where they have, I think, 6 games. It's a lot of games in a short amount of time coming up, and it's just a fantastic run of form that they are in right now.
Yeah, and you know what? When you're playing as well as this side is right now, you don't mind that schedule so much because unlike a year ago where their depth was so badly tested down in Orlando, now it's not being tested as heavily because most everybody, you know, knock on wood, is healthy. And as long as they're healthy and have this depth, then bring on the heavy schedule, man. You're winning, you're playing well, you're healthy, you've got depth. You know, let's play. Keep it going. You know,
Absolutely.
Keep piling up the points.
So let's take a quick look. I know your favorite thing is to look at the standings.
Oh,
I have a question. I have a question off of where they are at right now. I mentioned they're in 5th place in the Western Conference. That means looking at the standings, they're 1 point away from RSL, who is the first team out of the playoffs if we're looking at it like March Madness. They're 8th place right now on 13 points. Minnesota, 5th place on 14 points. They are 2 points behind Colorado with 16 points. LA Galaxy are kind of the next tier up at 21 points. Then it's Sporting Kansas City with 23 and Seattle with 25. With how close they are to the bottom of that of the playoff spots in the West, my question is, it's something that they didn't do for the past 2 seasons. They never dropped below the playoff line. Do the Loons drop below the playoff line again this season with that depth they have, with how well they are playing right now, and with the amount of games that are set to come? Do you think they ever drop below that playoff line?
Boy, they could, but it would be just ever so slightly because I feel like they should be able to secure 3 points against San Jose at home coming up. We're going to talk about that next time, sure.
Yes.
So if I look at that and I say they're going to do that, that pushes them up even a little further away from that line. And as long as they don't go into a streak where they lose, go 3 games without a win or lose, I mean, they certainly could. If you drop 2 in a row and the right teams win, you could be back below the line.
I mean, it took the right teams losing and drawing to jump up from 9th to 5th.
I think it's very possible they won't drop back below the line again, only because, again, I look ahead and I think they can secure 3 points on Saturday, and then they're sitting in a better position.
Yeah.
Then they've moved themselves a little further away from that line, unless everybody below them wins too. But that probably won't happen. So, yeah they could, but I think there's a good chance they stay above it.
So we'll get to that game against San Jose that you mentioned. Should be a good one for Minnesota.
San Jose. Remember when they were in first place?
Jesus, it feels like so long ago, especially for San Jose fans who got news of their own today. We'll get to that in here in a second. San Jose Earthquakes at Allianz Field this Saturday. Pre-match starts at 6:30 p.m. Kickoff just after 7 p.m. on SKOR North on AM 1500, SKOR North mobile app, and live.skornorth.com. You can hear Dan and I on the pre-half, post, first half, and second half. The entire broadcast with us over on SKOR North. Last time out for San Jose, it was a 3-1 loss to Chicharito and the LA Galaxy on Saturday. So that means in the last 7 matches, they have been outscored 15-2. That's a 7-match winless run, 1 draw, 6 losses. All time against Minnesota since Matias Almeida took over at the beginning of last season. They are 4 losses, 0 wins, 0 draws, with 15 goals against and 4 goals scored. So Minnesota has scored 15 against them and only given up 4 against San Jose, while Matias Almeida has been their manager.
So
since the start of 2019, excuse me.
So the toughest thing might be not to get overconfident.
Yes.
So all those
This could be a trap game.
Well, yeah, and that's always scary because desperate team on the road, get nothing to lose for them. They're playing horribly right now, so they're going to throw everything at you. But the way I can't see this club after. And Adrian talked about this in the last couple of matches. Is he keeps reminding the team where they've been.
Yeah.
Remember what it felt like to be 0-4. And I think that's exactly the right way for the coach to handle this. And you've got enough veterans on this team that are going, yeah, that was awful. We do not want to feel that again. I don't think there's a trap game, at least not right now, in Minnesota's future. I don't. I think that this is one they'll handle. Hopefully they have like this big goal scoring burst and they score 2.
2. It would be nice. I think with the way San Jose plays, especially under Matias Almeida, that man marking system where they mark you all across the field, it always leaves space for one of the center backs to come forward, and that's always been Michael Boxall in this system that Adrian Heath employs against San Jose.
40 yards wide open in front of Michael, and
just go. If you're gonna.
DeBasi is real capable of doing that, and so
you can't go wrong with either of those two guys going forward. Not like you ever want to see your center backs go forward, but against San Jose, it's worked for Minnesota magnificently. Hence why they've scored 15 goals against Matias Almeida's San Jose in the 2.5 years he's been there. So
it's the run back, and I'm sure Michael Boxall would agree with this. It's the run back that they don't like. That part of it sucks.
I don't think it's supposed to be 110 degrees like it was in Portland. I don't think it's supposed to be that on Saturday. I think Saturday is actually supposed to be 89, so it's going to be decent.
That's a little chilly,
Compared to 110, It's a little bit decent. Let's stick with Loons news as we move through here on Loon Talk. Remember, you can find us anywhere you find your podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe. It helps us get found. Myself, I am Jonathan Harrison. That is Dan Terra. We are the Minnesota United radio broadcast team over on SKOR North on AM 1500, skornorth.com, and live.skornorth.com, and the SKOR North mobile app.
And that's Jonathan's cat behind him.
Yes, that is Mila taking a nap because she is very entertained by soccer talk. Sticking with Loons news, Loons might be without Robin Lod and Roman Metzner as they are both in Finland and France respectively, getting their green cards, opening up international player spots for Minnesota. Hopefully they're able to return in time, but I do not know. I have not heard anything since then.
We're recording this on Tuesday. You got a few days for things to figure out because, it'd be nice if we didn't have to be without both of them. So
yeah, it'd be nice if we could see Robin Lod with this attacking offense. I mean, Nico Hansen's filled in great, and he's with how defenses have had to focus on the other three. He's had a ton of space and has played pretty dang well for this team in his fill-in role.
Yeah, good to have him. But but on the other side of it, if those two can get their green card situation straightened up, that's a big plus for the team too. So absolutely. I'm sure the club says, hey, in the whole scheme of things, it's well worth it. Even if they do have to play without both those guys, in the big picture, it's worth it. So,
and if you're going to miss them for any game, I think San Jose, in the midst of a 7-match winless run and never having beaten Minnesota in the past 2 years, I think you're okay with those guys missing this match if they have to. You feel pretty comfortable now that you have Jukka Raitala and Jan Gregish back, mainly Jan Gregish. He can go in the midfield. Hassani Dotson can go back to that right back spot for one game because we know Hassani Dotson can do it. We've seen him do it over the years since he's been here. But it's good to have Jukka and Jan back from the Euros. I believe they are available for selection on Saturday. We'll see. The other news for the Loons, this came out last week, last week. Michael Boxall will be joining the New Zealand U23 team for next month's Olympic Games. So he'll be gone for a couple weeks at the end of July. I think the Olympic men's soccer tournament starts on July 22nd, goes through August 7th if they get to the finals. New Zealand is in Group B alongside South Korea, Romania, and Honduras. I have no idea whether they're supposed to advance or not out of that group. But the games that he will miss if he's gone for the entirety of that time are against the Portland Timbers here at Allianz Field, at LAFC, at Vancouver, which is actually Utah, versus Colorado, and versus Houston.
Okay. Well, congratulations to Michael Boxall. We've talked many times during our broadcasts and during this program. And see, I told you, if someone comes to the door, it gets crazy in here. He's a classy guy. He's a leader. He deserves, his shot at the Olympics if that's what he wants to do. And I'll be cheering him on all the way.
Absolutely, and I know a bunch of Minnesota United fans will be cheering him on as well, as he's one of the longest tenured Loons on the squad. Obviously the captain of the team when Ozzie Alonso is not on the field. One of our favorite players here. I do appreciate what Michael Boxall has done for this team, especially pairing with 8 other center backs in his time here, in his 5 years here. He's able to be so versatile for the club.
Actually talking with Cal Williams recently, the number is actually like 11.
11?
Yeah,
because of substitutions and stuff.
Cal did a little research and found that there were a few other players, and we'll have to get those names from him because they're players that I barely remember, like guys that had a cup of coffee with the team and then they were gone.
But if one of them's not for Fernando Bob, I'm going to be upset.
And so I think officially they could come up with 11 different partners he's had as a center back. So
that's amazing.
That's crazy.
And he's, as I mentioned with, I think, Adrian Heath a couple weeks ago, I think he's really underrated in this league as one of the better center backs in this league.
Unfortunately, in every position in this league, how many goals and assists you have play too big of a part in how you are. Roman Betanero was an all-star because it was 2 years ago he came out and he had like 6 or 7 assists early in the year, and all of a sudden he's an all-star. Well, I think he's playing better this year than he was that year. His team isn't scoring a lot of goals, and so he hasn't picked up points. But to me, it's just that's too big of a factor, especially in defenders. And Michael Boxall isn't going to score very often. And it shouldn't be that scoring goal, a middle back and goals, shouldn't really matter.
Yeah, clean sheet number is more important for those guys.
Yeah.
And Minnesota have been racking those up lately. I believe it's 5 now, if I'm doing my math correctly. Kind of doing it off the top of my head. I think it's 5 now after those last 2 clean sheets they got versus Austin and Portland. Let's take a quick look around the league at some of the other scores and news from the week. Sporting Kansas City come from behind and snag a 2-1 win against LAFC. LAFC continue to sit below the playoff line this season and continue to look for a true threat at that forward position. Rough season for them.
Maybe the biggest mystery in the West so far, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't figure out. I don't think anybody can figure out why they're struggling so much. You're looking at the table right now. They are sitting 9th place on 12 points. So they're just a point out of the playoff spot. So it's not too far, but still they haven't been above the playoff line in a couple weeks now, and there's a lot of questions being asked about LAFC right now.
That's a tough city to play in if things aren't going well, or to coach in for that matter if things aren't going well.
Especially with how much money they've spent on that roster. Yeah. So things will hopefully for them and their fans turn around for them. Hopefully they can stay out of Minnesota United's way going forward this season. Ricardo Pepi, one of your favorite FC Dallas players, scores a brace as his FC Dallas side secure a rather surprising 2-1 win over New England. The Revs still sit atop the Eastern Conference. FC Dallas with that win climbed out of the cellar of the Western Conference. They're now 11th place instead of 13th.
All right. When I was growing up, my best friend had a little schnauzer, and its name was Pepe.
Oh, okay.
So every time we call a game and I talk about Pepe, I can't help but thinking about this little schnauzer. It should come running up to me every time I say Pepe. So, but that's it. I got to tell you, that's why why he's
your favorite player, not just because his name is Pepe.
It is. It just brings back memories. So I enjoy calling Pepe.
One thing that fans in Cincinnati will enjoy is their team finally discovering how to win a game. They've won 2 of them actually this week. They've had themselves a 6-point week, securing 2 wins, one at struggling Chicago and the other at struggling Toronto. That at Toronto is more like at Orlando. But 2 nice wins for FC Cincinnati, who get wins against fellow cellar dwellers in the Eastern Conference. So surprising week for them getting wins against those 2 teams. Toronto being the news of being one of the stories of the season for all the wrong reasons. Player infighting, coach not doing well, rumors of the coach already being fired, 10 games into the season. So it's not a good run for Toronto, who were 2nd place in the Eastern Conference last season.
And Toronto's going through exactly what you didn't want to happen here in Minnesota, because when it got to 0-4, you started hearing grumblings and all the negative stuff, and Heath out and all this stuff. You're going, oh man, because if you go down that road, it just gets uglier and uglier and uglier, and that's why this going 6 after going 0-4, now going 6 without a loss, it puts all that to rest, and and fans are happy and players are happy, and man, because, you think about it, we were maybe a couple more losses away from going down that same road that Toronto's going down now, and that's not fun for anybody.
No, you can tell that
nobody has a good time.
You can tell it's wearing on just everybody there. The players are questioning the coach's tactics. It's a new coach there, so obviously there's that situation. Coach taking over for a very successful Greg Vanney, who left in the offseason to go to LA Galaxy. But yeah, the players are not happy with the tactics. It was a questionable hire to begin with, considering how much Toronto has spent on their roster, and you go with the guy who struggled and actually ended up failing at New York Red Bulls, which is many people didn't understand the hiring in the offseason, and that's starting to show 9 or 10 games in, as they've only won once this season, and they currently sit 13th in the Eastern Conference, just 5 points on the season for Toronto.
Even the broadcasters get crabby.
Yeah.
Nobody needs that. Cal be calling us wankers, and it would get ugly.
Yeah, it's not fun.
I'm glad we avoided that.
In happier news in the league, Columbus Crew are set to open their brand new stadium, Lower.com Field. Weird name for a field, but
Lower.com?
Yeah. I don't know what they sell on that website, but that is the name of Columbus Crew's new stadium. It looks amazing. I'm happy for Columbus Crew fans. They saved their team. They saved their team name. They've gone through a lot over the past couple years, and they're ready to rejoice in that brand new stadium for them. It's going to be a nice opening day for them on Saturday.
Yeah, they should have a good time, and I just hope that someday we get to the point where we can go see some of these stadiums, because there's some beautiful venues now around the MLS,
Absolutely.
And I sure would like to go see them.
That would be amazing to be able to travel, especially if we get a team in Las Vegas, my birth town.
Yeah, well,
let's get a team in Las Vegas. Come on.
Just put a GPS tracker on you and let you go.
The NFL has one. The NHL has one. USL has one. Why can't MLS have one? Make it happen.
They probably will someday.
Make it happen. Going back to San Jose, today they announced they have parted ways with general manager Jesse Fiorinelli in his 4 years as GM of the club. San Jose have a regular season record of 41, 67, and 28, just 2 playoff appearances, but no wins in the playoffs, and now are in the midst of that 7-match winless run they have been in. Everybody on the coaching staff and the rest of the technical side stay, but they have parted ways with their general manager, who San Jose fans did not appreciate over the last 4 years.
Yeah, and we were just talking about Toronto, and Toronto's headed towards those kind of shakeups and changes. And for San Jose, this is 3-4 weeks from now, if things haven't gotten better, then there'll be more shakeups. There'll be, So, and like I said, you just don't want to go down that road. We've seen it happen with too many Minnesota teams in the past. And let's just stay away from that, because what happens at the end of all that, after they've tried a different GM, they've tried a different coach, then it's, we're rebuilding.
Right. And that's not a fun process for anybody.
No.
And lastly, as we look across the league, the LA Galaxy are in the news, not because Chicharito, I promise.
Your boyfriend?
They are rumored to be in contract talks or discussing a transfer for Welsh star Gareth Bale. Bale, 32, spent last season on loan at Tottenham Hotspur, but they didn't choose to keep him another year, so he's returning to Real Madrid, where he reportedly doesn't feature in new manager Carlo Ancelotti's plan for the future. Bale has had a kind of terrible run at Madrid. He's been great. Fans haven't liked him, and he's been in and out of the lineup for some reason, despite scoring magnificent goals for them, especially in Champions League finals. He's been great for them, just the fans never took to him for some reason. He's been in and out of their different managers' plans over the past several years. Problem for LA Galaxy, they don't have an open designated player spot, but since it's the Galaxy, that's never really stopped them or the league from adding a star to the Galaxy before.
So you think they'll find a way around that?
Yeah, the league always finds a way for the Galaxy, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, that'll just make them a better side than they already are.
Absolutely. That's a dangerous proposition for any Western Conference team to add Gareth Bale to the LA Galaxy, who have already been a pretty big surprise this season, currently sitting in third in the Western Conference, 21 points on the season. I don't think anybody expected that quick of a turnaround for them and Greg Vanney, considering what they had to go through the past couple seasons. But as we mentioned a couple weeks ago, the Galaxy are like the Cowboys. The league is just better when they're good. Each league is better when those two teams are good. Many fans don't like hearing that, but it's just the truth. They are the team that brings in the casual fans because they know the name, and more casual fans means more viewership, means more money into the league, and that can only be good for the players and the fans because it means more stars in the league.
Yeah, the teams that play in LA and play in New York and the huge metropolitan areas, they are important to the league because their fan base is so huge, and you've got, you know, New York fans all over the country, and you've got LA Galaxy fans all over the country, and because those cities are so, you know, huge population wise, you need them to be competitive, and it gives people tune in. You know, if you're Minnesota, you want to play in a playoff game against a team from LA or New York or, you know, one of the big you know, metropolitan cities, because that's the big stage. So
yeah.
Although I don't want LA to get that good.
No. Want Minnesota to get that good, not LA,
right,
not those teams.
Right. So, but you know, it is a part of all sports leagues. You got those teams that, you know, it's better for everybody involved if they're competitive.
Absolutely. All right, that's been a look across the league. That's been our reviews of a really good week for Minnesota as they continue to bounce back from that poor start. So now we get to our favorite segment of the week, one that always leaves us questioning whether we're making the right decisions and predictions. Write that down, Dan. Let's take a quick accountability session. But first, the rules to write that down. 3 soccer-related predictions, at least 1 Minnesota United-related prediction. We'll keep track of the correct predictions throughout the season. We'll call those goals. Most goals at the end of the year wins the Golden Boot. We still have yet to find a prize. I don't think we ever will, because I like the suspense of not knowing what the prize is.
Look at all that red you got there.
You got some red, too. Oh, hold on, let me write that down. There we go. You got some red, too. Quick accountability session for me. 2 wrong this week. I said Emmanuel Reynoso will assist either a Fragapane or Uno goal against Austin FC. He did not do that. He did register the secondary assist in Portland, but doesn't count because I said against Austin. I did say Spain will not advance to the knockout stage of the Euros. Well, they only went on to score 5 goals in their final group stage game against Slovakia to go on and advance. Then they scored 5 goals in the round of 16 match to advance as well. So they've definitely proved me wrong there.
Wow.
For you had a couple come off the board. 2 good, 1 bad. You said Tyler Miller will give up 1 goal or less in the Austin and Portland matches combined. Well, he gave up no goals in both of those games, so correct point for you. You said Adrian Unu will score a goal Wednesday against Austin. He did that on that really nice corner kick. But you did say Emmanuel Reynoso will score a goal against Portland. He did not.
Yeah, he kind of let me down.
Yeah.
Underachieving again.
Yes, underachieving because he's only had no assists on this season. And then we had guests. We had a guest prediction come off the board as Andy Greeter, who was our guest a couple weeks ago, said Franco Fragapane will score multiple goals in their 3 games after the break, so Dallas, Austin, and Portland. But he did, so we got that right. Got that part right. But he had a parlay. Yeah. He said Adrian Unu will not score at all. Well,
I couldn't, when he said that, I was scratching my head going, Andy, don't make this so hard on yourself.
I always like a good parlay, but that one was a questionable one.
We'll
have to have him on to explain it again.
Yeah, we'll have to have him on again soon.
All right, so
if he keeps predicting like that, he's never going to get any points. So
he's still got 2 left out there.
All right.
Well, let's take a look at what we still have left out there. Cal said this one should be coming up here any day now. He said Cal said Minnesota will be in the top 6 in the West after the Euros. Currently they are, so that prediction's looking pretty good right now.
Oh, okay.
Andy Greeter did say Minnesota will trade Tyler Miller this year. That's looking less and less likely considering how Tyler Miller's been playing.
Yeah, all of a sudden it looked like a sure thing, and now it's really, really questionable.
Yeah. You said the Loons will make the playoffs in 2021. You did say Chicharito will not be the leading goal scorer at the end of the season. He's got 10 this year.
He won't, no.
He's got 10 this year. I believe he's leading the league.
Probably going to have an accident.
Wow. Dan putting a hit out on him. Jeez.
He won't, no.
I said Dane St. Clair will have at least 4 clean sheets for Minnesota United this season. I'm concerned about that.
You are?
Considering how well Tyler Miller's playing, I don't know that Dane's going to take the field again.
Yeah, when you made that pick, it looked as though he was going to be playing all the time. So,
I did get one right. I'm just looking at it now. I said Minnesota will take at least 7 of 9 points in the next 3 games. They took 7 of 9, so I got one right, actually. Never mind.
Oh, okay. Good for you.
I didn't read it correctly. I did say Argentina will win Copa America, so that one I'll probably be wrong
on.
All right. We'll see. So that's what we got left on the board. So the standings, I'll have to actually update these. I have 4 goals, you have 8, and the guests have 1 goal on the season. So, Dan, with that, should we get to our predictions tonight?
Let's do it.
You want to start?
Who's up? Am I up? I think you went first
start.
last week.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to stay with my. I'm going to stay on the Tyler Miller train.
Okay.
All right. I am going to predict. I'm going to tell you right now that he will get a clean sheet against San Jose, and he will make at least 4 saves.
Okay.
Clean
sheet and 4 saves.
That way, I put it on there so that if it's one of those games where he gets a clean sheet because he didn't have to stop anything, I don't just get an easy point. He's got to make at least 4 saves for that clean sheet to earn it. So write that down.
Fair enough. I like it. I like another good game from Tyler Miller against San Jose. I'll stick with San Jose. Write this down. The Loons will score at least 3 goals on Saturday.
At least?
They've scored a ton against San Jose and how they play, how San Jose plays. I'm hoping, and I expect us to score at least 3.
Wow.
Write that down.
Wow.
Offensive explosion.
That would be crazy. What would we do with 3 goals?
I don't know that I'm used to cutting up that many goal highlights in one match. I don't know that I'll be able to handle it.
Busy. So.
Write that down. Dan?
All right. My second one. Copa America trifecta. I'm going for the trifecta here.
You are doing a parlay. I love these parlays. Let's bring it.
Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
I'm picking 3 winners between the games on Friday and Saturday.
All right.
Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina.
All right. Let me pull up these matches.
Now,
I don't know who
you could say, well, those are 3 really good clubs, but they all 3 have to win. No draws. They all 3 have to win, and if one of them loses, then I'm out. But so Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina, all victories this weekend.
You're going with the Colombia upset of Uruguay. I like it.
Yes.
That's a bold pick. Brazil's kind of an easy pick because they have been the best team in the tournament, and they're hands down the favorite to win the tournament. Right. Argentina have Messi. Generally, they get to the finals with Messi, but they didn't lose him.
Colombia's my wild card there. I think they're going to win.
You didn't want to go with the 4 games and pick the Peru-Paraguay match on Friday?
No, then it wouldn't be a trifecta.
You can go for the 4.
It'd be a quadfecta. No, I've never even heard of that.
Nah, why not? Come on. Be adventurous here.
I learned all about racing from Dark Star out at the racetrack, so it's the trifecta. There's no quadfecta.
Well, you can start it. You can
write that down, and then it's your turn.
All right. Write this down based off a conversation we had earlier in the show, whether the Loons will drop below the playoff line again this season. Write this down. The Loons will not drop below the playoff line this season. I think they are too good. I think now that they have all the talent that they had been talking about bringing in before the season, now that they have them here, and we see how good they do play together this early on in their run with the team, I'm so excited to see what this attack can do with more games under them, and especially bringing Robin Lod back, how well that can open up things for the rest of the attackers. I don't think that this team will drop below the playoff line again this season because of the attack and how well the defense has been playing lately.
All right. There's one that we're not going to get paid off on until late in the season. So.
Yeah. I'm all about having the picks that don't get paid off till much later.
You're going to let me fall into a sense of false security here, thinking I'm way ahead of you, and then at the end of the year, they're going to start just piling up.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. You know what? I'll pad my lead now, and I'll take my chances. In the MLS this Sunday, 3 matches. See, and what I really like doing is making sure that you have to do math and have to add stuff. So
goodness, I love math.
3 matches: Dallas versus Vancouver, Colorado versus Seattle, the LA Galaxy versus Sporting Kansas City. Those 3, there will be a total of 12 or more goals in those 3.
Wow. You are predicting a goal explosion this weekend in MLS.
I'm predicting one of those teams is going to blow one up, and that's going to make that possible.
Okay. All right. I like it. More goals.
That's only 2 per team. That's 6 teams. That's 2 goals per team is 12.
Yeah, but that's still 4 goals a game. I think we're averaging, like 2.5 on the season per game. It's been coming down because we've had a lot of. It's been coming down lately because we've had a lot of like 1-1 draws across the league lately.
Yeah, there've been a lot of draws, and everybody's been playing in high heat, and it hasn't been ideal playing conditions. So yeah, that's it.
All right, my final one. Down. I'm going to the Euros here. Huge matchup on Friday. Not Switzerland and Spain. I mean, that would have been France versus Spain, but Sommer for Switzerland, the goalkeeper, made a huge penalty save against Mbappe and basically, or did send Switzerland on to the quarterfinals. That's not the matchup I'm most concerned about on Friday. Belgium versus Italy. Both tournament favorites going in. Well, Belgium tournament favorites into this one. Italy a dark horse considering how they played for the past 6 years or so. But now Italy have been really good this tournament. They have basically moved themselves up into the favorite category in the rest of the tournament. So Belgium versus Italy, the winner of the Euros will come from that match. Whoever wins that game will win the Euros.
Okay.
I'm not buying the hype train on England quite yet. Yeah, they got a huge win today against Germany. That got a huge 600-pound gorilla off their back, and it was cool to see that happen at Wembley with all those fans. But whoever wins Belgium versus Italy will win the Euros this summer.
Okay, write that down. All right, sounds good to me.
That is my final prediction. That has been Write That Down for this week here on Loon Talk. Once again, you are listening to Loon Talk. I'm Jonathan Harrison. That is Dan Terhar. You can listen to us for all game matches. You can be heard on SKOR North on AM 1500, the SKOR North mobile app, and live.skornorth.com. We are the radio broadcast crew for Minnesota United matches. You can find me on Twitter at JohnHarrison90. Dan Terhar is over on Twitter at Dan Terhar, DanTerhar. You are listening to Loon Talk on your favorite podcast streaming or podcast service of choice. Remember to give us a rating, review, and subscription. It really does help us get found. Also, you can find and watch us over on SKOR North's YouTube channel if you want to watch us and see our cool offices. One or both of these will get painted soon if I'm remembering your plans correctly.
Yep.
Yeah. So they'll have new shades of paint pretty soon here. So.
Yep, should be good. I'm looking forward to Saturday. Hopefully,
I can't wait.
Hopefully a big win at home with another full stadium, and then the next day is the 4th of July. So it'd be a great weekend just to put 3 points away Saturday night and then finish off the weekend. So
Saturday against the San Jose Earthquakes at Allianz Field. Normal kickoff time this time, 6:30 p.m. pre-match, 7 p.m. kickoff. No 9:30, 10:30 p.m. kickoffs anymore. Hopefully.
No. Hopefully not. Do you have to work your other job on Sunday?
On Sundays, yeah, right away in the morning.
You don't get the 4th of July off?
No.
Oh, man.
Come on. No, you think they would give anybody time off? No, come on.
Good thing you're young. You can handle it.
Yeah, well, I'm not that big on fireworks, so I'm not really too concerned about missing 4th of July.
How does your cat do with fireworks?
She kind of has the zoomies when that happens. She'll just run around on she is right now when she's just sleeping.
Yeah,
she'll run around when these neighbors around here start firing off fireworks. Then she gets a little anxious, but
hopefully we get a little more rain between now and the 4th. Otherwise, those fireworks can be followed up by grass fires everywhere. So
that won't be good.
Hopefully we get some more rain between now and the 4th.
That would be nice. All right, Dan, we will talk on Saturday. We'll also come back on Saturday with the Loon Call. We didn't do one last Saturday because it was 1 o'clock in the morning when the post-match show ended, so we both wanted to
I would have done
home.
it, but Jonathan didn't want to. So
Yep, that's definitely how that conversation went off air.
All right, come on, you Loons. Another win on Saturday.
All right, thanks for listening. Have a good one.